Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Sophia Bruinsma, and I'm live right now on the KSFS radio station at San Francisco State University. And welcome to my program called Comment Section, where I talk about news, the most relevant stories right now, and play today's hottest music in hip hop, pop, and EDM. Today, I have a very special guest with me, and his name is Bryan Blair. He's my really good photography friend and friend who I know from way back when we both used to live in the same town. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've been wanting to do like a sit down with you for a long time, and I've been watching you on social media, and you've just been growing really exponentially through your reels, TikToks, and Instagram posts. How does it feel to like be creating like such a good following?
Well, I mean, I don't do it for the following, like ever. I always do my work with intention, and I always try to inspire really anybody who sees the work that I produce, no matter like who that reaches. So whenever I shoot photo, video, reels, I always do it to like push people to reach their full potential, and to really branch out of their comfort zones, because I believe that a lot of people are in this mindset where they just want to live comfortably and they kind of close off their options. But pushing them to do more, like I'm always a believer in you're only going to do what you can do now, but
Right.
if you push yourself to do more, then you're going to be able to do greater things. So that's my goal with being a creative director.
Right. I think like in life and through school and through like other people influencing you, a lot of people believe that there's a certain way they can live their life and they fail to like push themselves to that next step and like believe in themselves. So I think it's really important that people like you like share how you stay motivated and the different ways that you can, just make your life go from average to like something that you're happy about,
Yeah.
There's like not a lot of happy people on average, and I think that's because we're conditioned to like believe a certain narrative about how to live life and like how to interact with people. So
Yeah, and like people fall into the same pattern, when they live their lives. They fall into the same work cycle, the same school cycle, and then they go 40, 50 years doing the same exact thing. And they think they're happy, but they're really just lying to themselves and to their friends and family. And until you understand how to change the repetition of your daily life, and you're always trying something new every day, and always kind of like pushing yourself to another limit, or like my mentor once told me, always do something every day. Do one thing every day that scares you or intimidates you a little bit, and it's going to allow you to really branch out of your comfort zone, and again like break that repetition. Like how would you like it if you're really going through life doing the same thing every single day? I'm pretty sure like after a while you're going to burn out and be like, well, this is life, is this it? Like no, there's got to be more to it than this, and that's my goal with helping people realize that.
yeah, it's like an algorithm almost. You have to like change it.
Absolutely, and like if you write the same, basically, like I worked as a software developer last year or 2 years ago before I worked out the job I'm at right now. And if you write the same like lines of code, I guess, or the same like program, and just hit run and run and run, eventually you're just gonna like burn that program out. But if you
Right.
kind of develop a dynamic lifestyle, kind of same thing with like programs nowadays, you're able to kind of like decipher just off of like the obstacles that come up, challenges, new changes, and new environments, and you're able to like make better decisions that fit your lifestyle, so that you can really reach true happiness, which comes from yourself.
Right. What did you do in those times of setback? Like, were there people around you who weren't as inspired, or were there people around you who didn't really understand like you when you were trying to make these changes? And how did you deal with that?
So I started like with I guess creative direction or photography really in high school, and it goes deeper than that. Like photography is an outlet for me to really express my true intentions. And yeah, I will say that everybody that wants to kind of branch off and do their own thing, they're gonna face people that doubt them. Unfortunately, some doubt came from my family and my close friends.
Really?
But yeah, and it's like it's not a bad thing. I kind of just took it as like, okay, I'm gonna use this to like not really kind of like prove them wrong, if that makes sense.
Fuel to the fire.
Fuel to the fire. Like if you tell me no, like I want somebody to tell me no.
Yeah, there's two different types of people. There's like certain people who it's like you doubt them and you like you like tell them no and they want to like prove you wrong, and then there's some people like you tell them no and like they want to like hide.
They
you know?
accept it, and that's honestly, that's a settler's mentality when they're like, oh no, you can't do this, you have to go, you know, be average like everybody else. If somebody tells me to go be average like everybody else, like I swear I'll go and push even harder at what I'm doing.
To me, like those are the most like boring words you can tell me is like, no, like just do this or just stay there. Like I always like to like chase new things and just like, you know, like try to reach my full potential. So anything that's like boring in that sense, it's just like life is meant to be lived, and like every day is supposed to be like a whole new experience, and like you're supposed to be learning constantly. So yeah, it's just not something that we're taught a lot. But where did you find these mentors that you talk about?
So just really going through and networking with people. A few of my business partners that I connected with, I found my mentor Greg through them, and he mentors me on like business mindset and entrepreneurship. And then there was a couple of mentors that were in the photography creative world that were like seasoned professionals that when I first started photography, I like latched onto them, and I was just asking them questions and asking them questions over and over again. And I believe that mentors are a huge benefit in anything that you do in your life, because you know you're either going to make you're going to learn one thing two ways, either mistakes or mentors. And mentors have already been through the blood, sweat, and tears of what you're trying to do, and now they're passing down that knowledge and helping guide you, you know, to you know, your end game or your goal. So I met them along the journey, and I'm very grateful for every single one of them. And I'm always, you know, keeping my mind open to more mentors in anything that I put my mind to. And I believe that anybody that's wanting to really make something out of themselves for like a lifelong career or a passion, they really should look at mentors and not just education.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you connected with mentors for how many years?
I would say about maybe 4 years total. My most recent one, Greg, would be for almost coming up on a year. And then the ones in the, there are multiple ones in the creative industry, and those would be about since like 2018. And ever since then, like I said, I just ask them, you know, ways that I can improve. Can you help me with this? Can you not really judge my work, but can you criticize?
Are they in photography mostly?
Two of them are in photography, and one of them is more like, you know, entrepreneurship and business minded. So that's like, you know. Yeah.
So what's your like dream? Like you do a lot of photography and podcasts, but what's your end goal?
My end goal really is to just change and impact as many lives as possible. And I know that it won't be just done through, you know, the creative industry. But, you know, if I can help somebody put a smile on their face, it makes me smile by default. And that's what really makes me wake up every single day.
Yeah, and that's something you learned from photography like a long time ago. Like when you started taking pictures for people, you like realized how happy it made them when you could come back to them with like these awesome pictures of themselves, and that's like what really inspired you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that you know, photography is like the avenue or the outlet that I can express, you know, that emotion or that drive. I've always been, you know, like a people person growing up, and, you know, wanting to like branch out more and just connecting with people and making them feel good about themselves and producing this really positive environment spoke volumes to me. So I use, you know, photography and creative direction as an avenue to really, you know, help someone's dream come to life visually. And then I use my other assets to do the same thing to help them change their life financially and, you know, in their mindset, so that they have like a productive, successful mindset instead of a settler's mindset.
That's beautiful. I never thought that after all these years that we'd be friends now. Remember, like when we first met each other, we were both in like, I don't know, what grade were we in?
6th grade or 7th grade, Rolling Hills in the hot tub.
Yeah. So I was with my friend Bella, and he was with his friend Dimitri, and we kind of like ran into each other in the hot tub, and then we like became friends. It was like this super awkward thing. And then like years went by, and then me and Bryan hung out, and we were like, well, I was following him on Instagram, but I forgot where I knew you from.
Yeah.
And I was like, we should do a shoot sometime, because I want some Instagram photos. And then and then he was doing podcast stuff, so I was like, he seems like a really cool friend. And then we hung out, and we were like, I kind of forgot where we had met each other, but we had known each other for super long.
It was kind of like that distant, foggy memory. You don't know, like, you know, you think you remember it somewhere in the childhood, but then like all of a sudden it clicked one day. It's like, oh, the hot tub. You know, remember those days?
Literally.
Like we'd go to Harvest Market to grab food, then go back up to Rolling Hills and just go swim for like 3 hours. Like, you know, I mean, that's when you're young, but as you, you know, grow and divert your paths, you kind of like find who you really are.
Yeah.
And then later in life, you reconnect. Like, you know, you're going into hosting and broadcasting, which is fantastic. You know, you're going to touch a lot of lives with the words that you say, which I'm so proud of you for. So
Thanks.
knowing you from when you were like, you know, 11, 12, 13 years old to seeing where you are now and just seeing that trajectory, it's an amazing thing, honestly. So
likewise. Did you expect, at that age, did you see yourself being the person who you are now, or who did you see for yourself?
Absolutely not even close to who I am now. If you asked me who I was going to be at 22 years old when I was like 15, I honestly couldn't even tell you. I was so lost. I grew up bullied most of my life, so I really didn't have a clear vision of, you know, what it is I really wanted to accomplish in my life. I was, you know, always, you know, mathematically inclined. Like I hate math, but I can do it. And I always like was on the engineering side of like wanting to build stuff, you know, and invent new things. But I never really knew like what was the real meaning behind it. Am I going into engineering just because it's cool and just because I can do it? Or am I going into it because I have a drive really behind it? So, and over time, like we're in our early 20s, like we're gonna, you know, we're at the time of our lives where we really define, you know, who we are and where our life is gonna be. So
yeah, it's really important. Like these years are super important because we have just kind of strayed away from, you know, like the traditional school years, which is where you're kind of like being told like what to do. And then it's like once you hit 18 and older, it's like your freedom to kind of figure out like what you're actually passionate about. And some people don't know what they're passionate about, and some people know what they're passionate about, and some people don't. They might know, but maybe it changes over time. Do you think that people's passion like changes, or do you think people are born with like gifts and that's like what they should just be doing?
So I'm a huge believer in that everyone is born with some sort of God-given talent, honestly. And whether they find it early in life or later in life, that's up to their life and their plan. But I do not believe that anyone should like stay to just one thing. I believe that they should always like try new things, you know, see what they like more and see what, you know, additives on top of what they love doing can help aid them in their real, you know, life passion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for me, I've always felt like, well, I was actually really shy when I was a kid, so I would never see myself doing something like this.
Yeah.
I remember even when I was in elementary school, they thought I was a mute, because I didn't talk very much because I was so shy. Like they were like talking to my parents and they were like, Sophia's a mute. She has like a condition where she doesn't talk. And I was like, okay, maybe I just feel really uncomfortable. Okay, because I felt really uncomfortable in like kindergarten and first grade.
Yeah.
And after those years, I kind of like, I stopped and I was like more confident. But it's just crazy how like as you grow, like as a child, like so many new things like come to you.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I love the media, arts, I love TV, radio, music. So, like, after I knew all that stuff, I knew that I wanted to go into this type of field.
Absolutely. And you always are going to find that, you know, as you go through your life. You know, you can't really, you know, tell where you're going to go when you're, you know, so young, like, you know, 13 years old. So.